welcome back to the main card, also known as the pay-per-view, better the finals for the Fight Pit Championships. We got Lappy coming in hard in the top 3 spots. Cheney's got the leader. She's just trailing the leader by half a step, giving him a flat tire, about to come in with that belt. I'm tanning. I'm getting ready for this photo shoot. So we gotta do something. We gotta figure it out.
Oh, I actually have nerves about it. I haven't cared once the entire time, and I think it's Conor McGregor that he's like gracious in victory and gracious in defeat. And I hate to say this, but I've already eaten crow in my head. You know how people usually they manifest their victory speech? I've already manifested how Alpha's been the better man all season. I know. He's gotten more picks right than me. I bet if you lined him up, the scoring of this allowed me to catch up. I've been in second place so many times. I haven't really gotten in first. He has gotten in first so many times and carried the lead for so long. So really, I'm setting myself up here like I'm Jessica I going against Shevchenko right now.
Oh my goodness. Don't you put me in that group. Don't you? No.
This is how much lack of responsibility I want for it. I want to just be like, whatever picks you tell me to pick. Those are the I'll let you hold the belt for so long afterward. It'll be like we did it as a team.
I think I've committed myself to having to take nudies with this belt.
Yes, I feel like the nudies with the belt are gonna it's your stream header on Twitch. Is you
You're gonna have to hold up my ponytail.
You can get like your mom's house, how they have tit cups. You can get those suction tit cups and suck on your tits into them. We just took it to a next level. Anyway, so I've thought of that too, and then I've thought of the close enough where it's just that kooky decision, like y'all doubted PVZ the whole time. Thought this 115er was just going to stroll up to the 125 and take out my girl, PVZ. I have to go with something like that. And there's 3 I can go with. And I know we're going to break down all these fights. Aldo, Gamebred, or PVZ.
Wow.
I know, isn't it weird? It's not Max Holloway and it's not Jessica Andrade. But I almost want to pull up Alpha's picks while we talk about them throughout the night on Discord. See, I'm cracking. I'm cracking under the pressure. That's why I don't do sports.
Getting to you. It's getting to you. Soon enough, you don't have to worry about that. We'll have a glorious belt in our praise. Hopefully, Ricky's washing his hands while he's touching that.
He's touching it so much.
Ugh,
he was rubbing it.
It's like he's got hand sanitizer without the sanitizer. I don't know what's going on. So
stroking it.
Definitely at 125 pounds, the pay-per-view is going to start off with a bang. We have Paige Van Zandt coming in against Amanda Ribas. This bout has been on the books for quite a while now. We've known about it here at Lat B. I told you guys when it was minus 250 Amanda Ribas, and I said, hey guys, throw the wall, throw everything at it.
You're like, it's not turning around.
Yeah, I'm like, it's not going to go down. It's only going to go up way more. Did I see minus 900? No. But is it almost justifiable? Yeah. From what we've seen lately out of both fighters and just the communication we've got lately, I think Paige Van Zandt can put in a valiant effort with 8-4, being a longtime veteran of the UFC, coming off of a win to Rachel Ostovich. I just think Ostovich would get eaten alive by Ribas here. Paige Van Zandt losing the Rose Clark, losing the Watterson, beating Beck Rawlings barely. But Ribas coming in on a 9-1 record, last winning dominantly against Ronda Marcos. Prior to that, beating Mackenzie Dern. from pillar to post. We saw that live. That was a fun one. Hebos really coming in as an underdog there and proving it, beating Emily Whitmire at her own game in submissions. The black belt Hebos comes in with outstanding striking and has really worked on it nonstop. The rumor mill had it ever since the her debut in the UFC. She had gone to American Top Team and specifically been training with JJ and working on only her striking because she's like, I'm a black belt. And we've really seen it in her last fights against Marcos on the ground, more than capable everywhere. Striking wise, she was also putting a clinic and just showing an incredibly high pace amongst pinpoint striking, good setups, and a little bit of power in here. It's just kind of hard to see where Paige Van Zandt wins in this fight. On the ground, no way Hebos has had monsters on the ground and easily walked through them. Striking wise, Paige Van Zandt has a couple kicks that she might be able to sneak in there.
That she's had on the ground.
Dern on the ground. She was able to keep it off the ground, and even when they got there a few times, she was able to just stuff it and keep it striking. Where Van Zandt just hasn't had to deal with that in any of her fights.
How does Dern earn the title of monster on the ground?
Just because she's a Brazilian world champion.
Because she has that booty.
Well, that Instagram plays a role, but for Paige Van Zandt, you would think so, and it hasn't. She's been busy doing naked gymnastics with her husband in the kitchen.
You know, her husband's no slack, though.
I agree. He should be in the UFC.
And maybe this is a romantic idea. I have this idea that if I was 18 to 24 years old, I meet a dude that's really on his way somewhere, even mid-level, but he has a lot of skills, that what I could learn from him in the comfort of our relationship might be more than what I could learn from a gym. Is that romantic? Is it crazy to think that?
No.
And don't you also think there's some level of even you with your girl, there's a way that I'm sure that I would be surprised, even though I outweigh her by however easily whatever the weight classes are in the UFC, I outweigh her by. So if I were to go, I think I would be impressed with what she actually knew, with how she knew her body better than she thought because of how much you guys probably play around.
Yeah, I mean,
she's not a fighter. I'm not saying that, but I know you guys school around, you guys horse around, and wrestle, and you teach her things here and there. If she were an actual fighter with a fighter's mentality,
right,
you guys would take it to another level. And don't you think you as a training partner would feel more comfortable than a lot of times men feel with a female training partner? But if she was your girl, you were like, "No, bitch, take this." No, I'm just kidding.
It's essentially 24/7 that she could be training. She always has somebody there to be able to drill.
And a legit dude that we respect him. We think he's a legit guy he's headed someplace. He has a good Alaskan background. He's shown himself, though. He's proven himself in Bellator. I think he just won his fight, didn't he?
He won his fight pretty decisively in the Contender Series. Should have gotten the contract, and Dana White's like, we don't want him. But he was going in as Mr. Van Zandt and all that stuff. Bellator scooped him right up. He's winning fights and getting paid more money than he would be on the UFC scene. And honestly, I feel like the UFC kind of knows that PVZ's it is her final fight on her contract, and they know she has name power, and they're just trying to give it past that stepping stone, give somebody a stepping stone, and I think that's an easy play for Van Zandt. I think Van Zandt does go to Bellator after this, but good for her, because not only will her Instagram go up, all of her fights pay is going to go up, and she's going to be able to fight again. Lesser competition for more money. Yes.
I think so too, and I actually think that Paige, she's got a lot of shit because she started a division when, now looking back at that division, that she started with the likes of a Carla Esparza, a JJ. She was even in the division before we ever even seen any hell or high water of Michelle Watterson or even knew who she was. Like, Paige is one of these girls that laid it out with Rose, and was she of the caliber of Rose Namajunas?
Mhm.
No, but she's been in there with all them girls. We've seen Paige finish a 15-minute fight with a broken arm.
Absolutely.
It makes me a little insulted when people put her on the level of Ostovich, because I feel like Paige Van Zant has earned her place. Is she ever going to be a belt wearer in the UFC? No. I don't think
No.
Paige ever thinks that of herself, and I also don't think she is like a Rachel Ostovich, where she just lays back on her looks and doesn't train. So when she's put in that level of being like that bullshit booty girl, and that's the only reason she's in the UFC, it kind of irritates me, because I feel like PVZ has proven to us that she's a fucking warrior, she's a fucking fighter, and she deserves those kind of, like, is she a journeyman? Maybe, but she's a UFC journeyman. And I think the caliber of fighters that she's fought against, it is Amanda Ribas' toughest fight yet. Paige Van Zant at 125, I don't know if you've seen her lately, but she is bodied up. And go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just, so other factors for this, because this is going to be on the pay-per-view, there is other just kind of pickups, embedded takeaways. And one of the things that amongst the entire fight card that we've been talking about is how early they show up to the fight. Location to acclimate. Paige Van Zant was one of the earliest fighters from the States moving over there. We know Ribas is also from Florida, so she had to make that trip at some time. I believe it was this last Sunday or Monday. So she's only going to have 7 days, where Paige Van Zant has given herself solidly a good 16 days training in the heat already. Maybe a little less than that, but I feel like she was one of the earlier people to get out there as far as the Americans. Just
with her man, her number one training partner through all of the COVID, where everybody else has been had their gym life shaken a little bit. Hers hasn't been at all. She's gotten to do her same naked routine every day. I don't know. I just feel like everybody is looking at Paige like she's this walkthrough right now, because we do know her in the levels. Like, if you put Paige versus JJ, it's looks all day. But I also feel like Amanda Ribas, you guys are shitting on Amanda Ribas' looks a little bit too. Amanda Ribas has shit tons of skill, shit tons of level, and she's a cutie. She's super cute behind the camera. She's super well spoken. She's intelligent. She's gonna be a belt holder one day at 115. This is Amanda Ribas she wins off this. I know that's what, but Amanda Ribas is a 115er. That's the issue I have here, that everybody thinks this is a smooth walkthrough. Paige has been training to be a 125 belt holder. The smaller your weight gets, the more that 10-pound matters, especially in the women's division. Especially in the women's division. These girls aren't all fucking cut up like, you're going from Mighty Mouse to up to, what's the 135? I don't know who's up there now. Aldo at a 135 now. From it's weird because he was 145er for so long. But I just think that 10 pounds matters all that much more. Paige Van Zant has had her man laying on her, and I do not mean this in a sexual way. I mean it in every way that a training partner should have. She has had a real dude, like, this girl's going to be laying on you like this. This girl's going to be going for submissions like this. This girl's going to be throwing punches at you like this. Like, I think in a different way of love, and I think there's this hardcore Alaskan love. Like, I know it seems crazy, but this 125, Amanda Ribas, faster hands. I think Paige Van Zant, better wrestling. Like, that's the one thing you got to give Paige here. She's heavier, she has better wrestling, and she has the experience. The best person that Amanda Ribas has gone against in her whole career is Ronda Marcos at 115. Like, that is pretty much, that's like a 10-pound lesser Paige Van Zant. So if at walking went in weight, what's Paige Van Zant going to be weighing? 142?
I don't think she's that big. Probably in the 130, 30.
I just,
35
even
like range in between there.
Mackenzie Dern, Paige Van Zant eats Mackenzie Dern for breakfast.
I don't know about that.
I think y'all are shitting on Paige Van Zant. It's like hard not to pick Amanda Ribas by an easy point fight decision. Hopefully she keeps Paige Van Zant off of her. The worst thing she could do is rest on her submission morals and let Paige Van Zandt take her down, because Paige Van Zandt got nasty ground and pound. I just think everybody's shitting on Paige a little bit. This is a weigh-in specific fight for me. I could see myself being the only person on the planet flipping to Paige. I think she's going to have the better cardio in this fight. And I think she's been hungry to go back in, even when doctors are like, nah, bitch, your arm's broken still.
Well, it keeps breaking.
Yeah.
It keeps re-breaking. She keeps having issues because she has screws and pins in her arm. And after this fight, she's going to take the pins out because the joints around the pins keep breaking. She was specifically talking about is why she's had such a long layoff. But I agree with what you're saying. She's a fighter and she's never quit in there. And we like to bet on those type of people because they're not just going to go in there and fold up. Paige Van Zandt's not a quitter. I absolutely love that. But with all that, I still think Ribas is going to get a TKO round number 2.
No.
I don't think it's going to be wet.
No.
I think he's going to go down. I could see it maybe 3, but the biggest favorite of the entire night by far.
The only way Ribas finishes Paige Van Zandt is if Paige, because this is another respect to Paige. She has the ring IQ. She knows when she's losing a fucking fight and she will give up a submission of her neck or her arm or her whatever, and she'll tap quick, and homegirl will go home and fight another fight and go to Bellator, and her and her man will walk off into the Bellator Hall of Fame. But Ribas is... I love Amanda Ribas. She's one to watch. She don't need to be in the 125 yet. This is just playtime for her. This is playtime for her.
I think it's a stepping stone type of place. So on DraftKings, you're going to end up paying $9,500 for the biggest favorite of the night against Van Zandt, $6,700. I got 0% Van Zandt. For 9.5, it's pretty steep. I got a TKO round number 2, so I'm going to be playing Ribas in that 20% range, 0 for Van Zandt, but I do like the potential. I think she pays it off regardless because I think she just accumulates a ton of shots, and even if she doesn't necessarily end up finishing Paige Van Zandt as you're more predicting, I feel like she can keep the strike output enough, which she's proven in fights, to be able to still average that 90 points, still
I'm
justify
so depressed.
that. So
I even thought I'm going to go with Ribas' decision right now because I'm giving Paige all the credit in the world, and I could see myself switching to Paige, and nobody has Paige making the distance with this. Alpha has Ribas' decision. So, yep. So right now, so I'm not going to get the points there.
So TKO round number 2.
I don't see that happening. I actually think Paige being the stronger one by the end. If the submission comes later rounds, I give it to Paige round 3. If a submission comes later rounds,
right.
I give the Ribas when they're dry and the quick submission. If the submission comes flash, I give it to Ribas.
I just don't see any of it. I see Ribas keeping it where she wants to the whole time, but that's more than enough for that fight. We got to get into the belt kind of talks. We got to get into these not 5-rounders. Wow, this was a 5-rounder not long ago. We had Jessica Andrade coming in at 115 pounds against Rose Namajunas, number 2. This is a 3-round fight. I kept convincing myself this was 5 because it should be for the belt, but Zhang's got it right now. Rose Namajunas has not fought since getting pile drived onto her head and being knocked out against Andrade a month ago. Since then, her family passed away. She had 2 family members pass away from COVID, and this fight was actually pushed back 2 more months.
Jessica Andrade or Rose Namajunas?
Rose Namajunas.
Rose Namajunas cannot catch a break.
No,
I feel like life, as far as UFC life goes, she has had one of the rougher existences. She hasn't had a kid taken from her yet, but she hasn't had a kid yet. Like, homegirl's had an existence. Every time. I always feel so bad for her.
Yeah. She's very cerebral. She's very into her faith. And maybe one of the narratives I pull away from Rose is when she's deep into her faith, just like with the first JJ fight, when she's just saying the Lord's Prayer and just really into religion, where she's taking this fight because she was going to step out again, but she read a verse that essentially said, like, you're alive, you better work while you can. And she's like, oh shit, I'm going to go work.
But she
And
believes she's kind of like one of these people, like the opposite of an atheist, where she takes all religions and kind of works from them. She's not like just a Christian or a Catholic. She also, like, I've seen her with Buddhist beads. I've seen her with like, she kind of all encompasses the good of all religions and kind of works from them in a Rose type of place.
In a martial artist type of way.
Look at perfect example. Pat with Rose is that perfect example of this building a champion from a mid-level UFC dude, a mid-level guy, but being able to do it because that's your girl and investing all the time in that because you're like, I see her body, I know how it works, I know all this, I know what she's capable of, and I know what women's MMA is missing in this way. I'm going to teach my girl these skills. Sorry. I'm trying to convince myself of this Paige Van Zandt thing so bad because that's the only pick I could see myself actually changing the game.
There's better spots than that. I promise you, there's better spots than that.
I almost wrote her man on Instagram. I was like, look, lay it to me.
FBC on this.
I know. I almost want to just FaceTime him and just be a boop, 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 boop. Because they go live on Instagram and they're like, do you want to join? I want to be like, sure. Look, everything matters on this. And if I go with PVZ, the PVZ pick to be the pick that gets me the belt, what better pick to be the pick for a girl to get the belt in the FPC than a PVZ pick?
It's not gonna. It'll be other.
You're like, it's not. It's not. Go with the Aldo pick. That's what I felt like the MMA Marks dudes were kind of like convincing me of the Aldo pick. Like they both went with Aldo, I think.
So in this fight with Rose Namajunas and Andrade, we are going back. I feel like watching back the tape and watching what happened. You can't take what happened to Li Jiang 10 months ago in that quick 40-second knockout. Prior to that, it was only the slam, but she was getting pieced apart. We know what we're getting with Andrade, and that's going to be forward pressure. She's going to eat a shot to give a shot. Will go to the body hard. Can go 5. She's only going to have to go 3, but she really will like to pick up ladies and throw them down. I would think that Rose Namajunas and Trevor Whitman and everybody else is like, hey, Rose, you get lifted in the air, you let go. Like that was day one after her last fight. She's since like, oh, okay, I'll let go and just keep tuning her up. Because go back and watch that Andrade fight. It was 10-8 rounds up until that slam.
She was schooling it. It was
unbelievable.
She was faster, crisper, better technique, moving her head every time. It's like she saw the telegraph punches of Andrade every time. There wasn't anywhere that Andrade handled it except for a panic lift takedown in the second round that slammed and knocked Rose out and is still one of the most brutal knockouts that I ever seen. It's like she took it all in her neck, which just seems like the worst place that you could take it. But even that second round, with that slam, if Rose would have gotten up and recovered, she would have still won that round. Rose was winning that fight everywhere as far as I'm concerned.
Everywhere. And I actually had a decision when I was keep breaking it down because I'm like, okay, Rose isn't going to be in that position and she's going to be more willing to step back when needed. But if she can keep doing what she did in that first fight without the slam, I don't see how it's not a TKO in the second or third round. I'm going to go with the third round because I think just Rose is going to accumulate too many shots and Andrade will keep moving forward and eating shots because she doesn't make adjustments. She just uses brute force to try to.
You've said it 45 times. She's John Lineker. And if you watch John Lineker, even if somebody's getting 3-1 of the shots he's getting to get inside with that forward pressure and movement, turtling up. But that's what Andrade does. And I almost feel like to her detriment, the more she gets hurt, the more she moves forward. It's like an odd, especially with the way Rose fights. I think Rose just gets comfortable with timing. She gets quicker, better with her head movement. She starts changing stances. She gets good with her kicks.
Well, with what you're saying, with her moving forward, that tactic is just pressure. It's really frightening. When you hit somebody with one of your hardest shots, you know it connects, and they jump right into your face. it can disravel people. It's a tactic. I mean, it's a painful tactic. You got to have,
But
you
if
got to
you've
be
been
tough.
in there with that person already before and you already know that's the way she's going to fight, you
Exactly.
fought 4 other fighters who try to fight that way on you. Rose is an assassin. Rose is an underrated assassin. Even though she held a belt, people people think Rose lacks power, but her technique makes up for it.
Absolutely. She's just a little bit of, has some mental issues that can sometimes hold her back in her fights. That
it's so long ago, though. When does she become Charles Oliveira?
She always has been.
Yeah, it's so long ago. Like that her mental issues were an issue in any one of her fights. When are we going to allow Rose
clear her?
Yeah, I think she's been cleared.
You get a win streak going again, and it'll probably correct.
I think you're allowed to lose and still be like a person that kept mentally composed in there.
Sure.
Like, I think,
sure.
I don't know. I think Rose, having her man in her corner, she realized it's what she needed, and maybe they realized it in their partnership that when he gave up his fight game, like, we're going to invest in you. And they're another couple that are going to be just the two of them in their corner. Right?
Right.
And in the romantic way, I think Rose is better everywhere than Jessica Andrade except for strength. I can't imagine that they haven't worked on that 1,000 times with Pat just grabbing Rose while she was making a peanut butter and jelly and being like, "Bitch, don't grab!" She's probably playing croquet in the yard, and he's like, "Whoop!"
Absolutely.
Sometimes I think I'm like, if we were 18 and I was a fighter, I'm like, you just fucking tackle me in the yard sometimes and be like, always be ready, bitch.
Always. Those are always the funnest times. But you are on edge. A lot of the time, you're always looking over your shoulder. But here, someone who's going to have to look over his shoulder is Rose Namajunas at -210, the 9,000 on DraftKings favorite against Andrade 7,200 plus 170. I don't like Andrade in this spot, even if she only has to get the knockout. She can lay a lot of volume, but I think that's going to be -30 points. If there's a play, it's only Namajunas, but I only think I'm going to be like 10%. I got a TKO round number 3, so she's got to accumulate a lot of shots, but by that point on DraftKings, she only gets, I think, 55 points for the TKO, maybe 45, plus the 30 for winning, compared to the 90 if it were in round 1. So it does affect the DraftKings score a bit, but the volume usually averages that out a bit, which I think Rose will have. I'm going to put her in that 10%, 20% because she's a little expensive. Hebos, I'm also minimally in there. And
I was about to give Rose the credit of being like, she has the easiest, crispest hands in the 115 women's division. And then I thought in my head, I would second guess it with maybe JJ, maybe Amanda Hebus. What do you think?
I don't know if Hebus is necessarily there, but JJ for sure. Rose, Li Zhang. Let me see that fight right now, because think of the forward. It's such a different stylistic, ducking and bobbing, but we have so many other fights to break down. We got
the Li Zhang, I love her. She has more technique than Jessica Andrade and more strength than Rose Namajunas, but Rose still has. I wouldn't even put Li Zhang anywhere near in the boxing of even Amanda Hebus. I think Amanda Hebus has better hands. Do you hear the proud American celebration going on?
It's Wednesday, people. Come on. People got to work tomorrow. What is going on?
I'm scared to talk shit about it because I'll look it up and they'll be like, did you know that today's Filipino celebration of independence in America Day? And I'll be like, oh, shit, I didn't know.
Light them up, boys.
Light them up. Just don't shoot them at my fish pond.
Absolutely.
Okay, so are you playing? You said you're going to play Rose. I'm going to play Rose too. I'm going to stay away from Andrade. She's sluggish. I think people are going to hate this, and her record doesn't really attest to it, but I think she's overrated. I think Rose is underrated. Everyone calls her meek all the time, and I feel comfortable with Thug Rose. Give me Thug
Well, what
Rose.
do you have a decision?
I have Thug Rose KO round 2, and I actually could move it up to round 1. I think she was piecing her apart everywhere for the first round.
Right.
That they could have been stopped by the amount of unanswered punches. It's just that Jessica Andrade's arms are so big, it didn't look like they were getting through. But when you go into the second round, if that slam didn't happen, I don't see what Jessica Andrade would have done that Rose wouldn't have turtled her up eventually. She had no answer. And so if Jessica Andrade is going to have her wife in her corner and Rose is going to have her husband, I'm going to go with Rose. Give me Rose and Pat. KO round 2 right now. I can move it up to round 1.
I had round 2 moved it to round 3, so I could go back to 2 as well. Interesting bout. Fun
Are
one.
you talking to me in code right now for the fight between?
Take what you will. Take what you will. At 135 pounds, you're going to have to take a steep one because this one is the most controversial one in my eyes as well. We got Peter Yan coming in against Jose Aldo. This is a barn burner. This is a fight of the night contender in here. This is going to be 5 rounds for the vacant 135-pound belt. Jose Aldo coming off of a 2-fight losing streak and still getting the option. It is nuts. The neighbors are excited for this one. They can't be contained. They're shooting off fireworks. They're so excited here.
Well, I did have them time it, but I'm just like, I thought they were supposed to hold it for 20 minutes. So it was supposed to be at Kamaru Usman versus. I'm just looking over here, and I just noticed that it's Gilbert Burns and not Masvidal on our card. Anyways, go on.
So either way, going back to Jan Aldo, 28-6. You know where he's been. WC champ, longest UFC rating champ at 145. He's had a dethroning a little bit, but has still had reputable matches in there, beating Moicano, TKO, and beating Jeremy Stevens, body kicking the daylights out of him, losing to Volkanovski in the decision, and then that controversial split against Marlon Moraes where Dana White said, I don't care what the judges said. Aldo's next. He won that fight where it was close. I could have given it to Moraes and not felt bad about it at all, honestly. So everyone's saying nonstop, if we got Jose Aldo of old, even though he's only 33 and 10 pounds lighter, but if we got him of old with the leg kicks, it would completely change his game plan. He just rarely goes to the leg kicks and calf kicks as much as he used to. He's much more boxing oriented where he allows fights to get away from him. But going back and watching that Moraes fight, I mean, Aldo's still a top 5 fighter. He still deserves to be contending at any belt at 45 or 35. He has that level of skill. Yes, has he been through the ringer a bit more than most? Absolutely. He's only had title defenses or top 5 guys his whole career. But Peter Yan is an up-and-coming 27-year-old that has ungodly amounts of pressure coming out of Tiger Muay Thai. Last beating Uriah Faber, Jimmy Rivera, John Dodson, Douglas D'Andrade, Son in there. Really getting it done in most of those fights pretty handily by just having constant pressure, moving constant angles, shooting takedowns when need be, and just having great fight IQ. His striking defense is elite as well. Peter Yan doesn't get hit that much. It does happen, but it is rare, and Aldo's also one of those guys. That's why this is such an intriguing matchup. These guys are fairly identical other than the level of competition. Jose Aldo is fighting nothing but champion-level guys, and Peter Yan's fighting Jimmy Rivera's. John Dodson's at the tail end. John Dodson knocked down Peter Yan. Didn't do too much, but it was officially a knockdown. But here, as far as the average strikes landed per minute, we got 5.6 for Yan against Jose Aldo's 3.4. The strike accuracy is slightly more for Yan at 46 to the 44% for Aldo. And the defense is identical for each fighter, barely absorbing 3 strikes per minute. The takedowns is where Peter Yan really mixes it up compared to both of these guys, throwing in 2 takedowns per 15 minutes compared to Aldo's half of one. But the takedown defense for Aldo's 91% at the highest level you could get compared to Peter Yan's 87%. So Yan is more takedownable, but he's going to have, I feel like, the better control on the ground, even though Aldo's a legitimate Nova and Yao black belt, I think it's going to be harder for Yan to get Aldo down. And in a straight up strike for strike, I think Aldo's the better counter striker, but Yan has the better forward movement. I think the body shots are going to add up for Aldo really well. And I think Yan is going to have a lot of different angles that he's never really seen before. But I feel like the young man's a lot hungrier than Aldo is at this point. Not that Aldo isn't hungry and doesn't want the belt, but he's had it for so long. I don't know if I ever necessarily see that. And I don't think he's going to quit in there, but I think it's a lot closer than the line has it anywhere. I think Peter Yan's going to be able to make the adjustments. I do think the line is off here. Minus 250 is way too much. This is much more of a coin flip. I'd be comfortable with minus 220, minus 125 Peter Yan, plus 105 Aldo, and that's how much real respect is here. I think there's a lot of fan favorites going with Yan, but knocking out Uriah Faber at this point of his career is not a lot, guys. Do not put that in. He was off of the couch like a week before that, literally off of the couch, got knocked out. So don't think that's too much, but the line's off here. You can't put tons of money on Yan. If there's a play to make, it's a dirty split. Aldo's the guy to make the play. He's the guy who by far the odds are off on, by far has the realistic option here of winning this fight. And I could wake up and have Jose Aldo tomorrow. That's how close this is. I like the vet. I like Aldo here. If he got his leg kick game, I would pick Aldo right now, but he still just has not thrown any leg kicks. And I think that's what would be a determining factor for the type of pressure fighter that Yan is. The left body punch could be a factor also for Aldo here. He throws it well and against Yan. It is an option. Yan hasn't seen that before. So give me Yan. Controversial split decision. Ultra close of a fight. I can't wait for this. I'm so excited for this specific bout.
Neil
By a sliver. Go ahead.
Neil the Security on YouTube said Aldo said he would incorporate more kickboxing in the fight in a recent interview.
There's a lot of punches in kickboxing. So, I mean, we see a lot of kickboxers that don't throw kicks. So, he just hasn't shown it to me in a long time. But thank you for that.
We all talk about Aldo a little bit like he's ancient, but he's 33, which is usually peak right around where we like to put fighters at the peak of their career. I like the 32 mark a little more, and I like it a little younger at 31, the lower they get in weight class. It goes up, the heavier in weight class. I love Aldo. I'm still scared a little bit about this desperate need to fight at 135 because he's realized he hit his peak at 135 a little bit. The Marlon Moraes was close. I thought Aldo won it, but it would definitely be one of those fights that, like I was saying, if you for the Zoltanite Twitch channel, that's a perfect fight for us to rewatch. I would Absolutely. I just feel more educated on fights every fight card, and looking back, I'm like, oh my gosh, I weren't even looking at their feet. Or I, didn't even notice this part of the wrist controller. I didn't even. So,
right.
I have Aldo decision on this when I made my fights earlier. I think Yan has easily better footwork. I think Yan is easily the faster guy. I think he can fight from both left and right stands. I think Aldo's found a little comfort down at this lower level about the fear of getting knocked out, and I think the more he experiences these guys' punches, especially Moraes. Is Moraes a harder hitter than Yan? Yeah, I would say. I would say a ton harder. So if he can get inside with Yan, it doesn't matter how much speed you have if you're eating everything else from another guy. Yan does have a good way that he throws in takedowns or shoulder pressure. Once he gets in the inside of somebody, he changes his stances, takes a few combinations, and gets in the inside with Aldo. And I really like that. That's where I think it's the game change for the fight of him pulling him down. It's kind of now or never for Yan. It's like this is the big fight for him. This is the fight that either he goes forward or not. For Aldo, this is a big fight that gets him in those talks of like, 35 championship belt.
But this is for the mountain. This is for the top of the mountain. This is for the
Oh
belt. There
yeah,
is
it
no
is for the belt. I forgot it's a 5-round fight, which even makes me
Yeah,
feel more
like
comfortable with Aldo.
I totally agree. Somebody who's gone 5 rounds for the last 8 years.
I have to be
Holy
honest
Aldo.
with you. My biggest naivete of fighting has been those championship rounds and seeing the difference of the fighters, whether you love to hate them
Absolutely.
or love to love them, seeing those fighters, the way they handle that last 10 minutes. And those are the different making
That's why you're a
rounds to
champ.
me. And who's held that longer than Aldo? So even, is Peter Yan going to go out there and win 1, 2, and 3 rounds against Aldo? Is he going to knock out Aldo? I don't see that happening. I don't see him winning all 3.
I don't see the knockout.
And I for sure can't see Peter Yan coming out and winning round 4 or 5 against Aldo. Peter Yan's never even been to 4 or 5. I feel comfortable with an Aldo decision. I feel like Aldo's even smart enough at this point in his career to let Peter Yan bang that out.
As long as it's not PVZ.
But that's only 25. That gives me 10 points or like 25 points. It's still like not enough if we have, it's like I have to overcome my deficit.
We'll get there. We'll get there. But on DraftKings, you're going to end up paying for Peter Yan.
You're right. It's still not PVZ. But you know what? I'm still not 100% that I'm not going to go with PVZ because Neil, the security, he has PVZ.
Oh, damn, Neil. Damn. He must know.
I know. I almost traded back. I'm like, Neil, you're a sign from the heavens above. It is PVZ, and everyone's going to be like, oh, well, that's not fair. She was bigger.
So on DraftKings, the minus 250 favorite, 9,300 for Peter Yan, coming in against Jose Aldo's 6,900 plus 195. Aldo everywhere. Aldo's the guy. It's the dogger pass as far as DraftKings here. We both see a decision, regardless. If it's a win, even better for Aldo. But for 9-3, average 102 for Peter Yan, it's still against the level of competition. I don't see myself out of these type of fighters in 5 rounds being the guy that I'm going to lay heavy on, where I can see Aldo being my relief in a lot of spots here. Because with a 5-rounder,
Aldo beats Faber at 135.
Easy.
And Aldo beats John Dodson easy at 135. That was actually the John Dodson fight with Peter Yan was the fight I looked at the most when we're breaking this one down. John Dodson's speed, his ability to get out of the way of things. I thought if you take that John Dodson fight and add leg kicks, that's this Aldo fight a little bit to me. So those are the ones I was going to ask you. Just looking back through, what do you think about that John Dodson unanimous decision? I
do think that Aldo would end up getting that one pretty solidly as well. He does just have to worry about that right hand. And John Dodson actually knocked down Peter Yan with one of those little right hands. I know I saw that gif going around at quite a few places.
Yeah.
Rightfully so.
I forgot that.
It's definitely going to be one
that
is much closer.
Burare.
So, do you think you're going to be playing?
I could see myself actually playing both guys on this, and for a 5-round fight, I could see myself stacking them.
Interesting. I don't think I could see this being a stackable as one as well. But out of these 3 belt 5-round type of fights, I see a couple other spots being much more stackable. One of them being.
How much is Peter Yan again? I'm sorry.
9,300.
It's almost not even worth it to play Peter Yan anywhere in far as
that's what I'm saying. Much. I feel like it's Aldo 30, 40, 30%, 20%.
So Labby and MMA marks are all Aldo.
Well, I'm picking Yan decision, but as far as DraftKings, I'm picking Aldo. Yeah. I'm sorry.
You're picking Yan decision. I was feeling secure about my decision.
Yeah, but I think Aldo's the value. I think you can't put Jan on any DraftKings cards or minimal, and I think you got to have much more Aldo unless it's a first round TKO, which we don't see happening. It's a dirty split. It's an absolutely
people
dirty
all
split.
have a Jan knockout. That's the most of.
Oh,
Tapology.
interesting.
The most of Tapology, I would say about 70% of the 76% that have a Jan knockout.
Wow.
I just think that is a lot of credit to give Peter Yan as if he is Conor McGregor.
I think they're Russian bots.
The new thing that's Russian bots, the new Russian bots is South Korea K-pop fans.
Oh, so any South Korean guy has it's 99% knockout, and then they lose, and you're like, what? This guy was supposed to kill him. And you're like,
K-pop.
yeah, because they get 4 million people to vote knockout.
This is where I'm so old, but I'm having a moment of it's called K-pop stans because the new word of fans is stans.
Okay, that's
from the Eminem song.
No, I know Stan. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the kids now call super fans stans. Where if you're a super fan, if you get to the point with a celebrity or whoever that no matter what they do, you're still a fan. So then you become a stan. So
which also a stalker, right?
No, it's
Eminem
like
song.
The way. Yeah, exactly like the Eminem song, but it would be my other comparison would be how you are with Betch Kohea. Boom.
Damn it. The hills I'm choosing to die on are not good hills.
I know, I'm glad I haven't picked mine yet. But I think it might be PVZ. But it's not fun being PVZ because everybody loves PVZ. But I love her for a different reason. I like her ever since she broke her arm and finished that fight.
For two reasons. Get it?
How dare you? I liked her more even before she had those two reasons. I like her love story. I like the fact that she trained with Chael Sonnen. I like the fact that she lived in the Pacific Northeast. I like that she vacations in Alaska.
Hate it, all of it.
I like that she answers the door nude. I don't like that her boyfriend has a big eye on his neck. Husband has a big eye on his neck.
So, moving on to another heater in the night, we have at 145 pounds, Alexander Volkanovski coming in against Max Holloway, number 2. This is a redo after their first one. Max Holloway staying the number 1 contender 6 months ago, getting a leg-changing kick beating against Volkanovski, where here at Lappy, if you're listening to the Plus Money Puesta, you were making money on Alexander Volkanovski, definitely cashing for you. But the city kickboxing guys are definitely been staying strong. He's also out of Tiger Muay Thai, but the workup, you can watch him and his coach. It's essentially been them working in quarantine together on the pads, putting in work. The 31-year-old Volkanovski is 21-1. He's definitely been nothing but gold, beating Aldo, beating Holloway, knocking out Mendez, beating Elkins, Kennedy in there. Volkanovski just is coming in with high-level kickboxing, showing all of that Adesanya, Hooker type of striking, great head movement, Eugene Behrman putting all them together, just showing very educated, very game plan oriented. And that's what I like seeing about with all these breakdowns and stuff is Volkanovski's like, yeah, we did our homework and it worked. And him and Max Holloway have both been like, yeah, and I keep watching the other fight. I'm going to adapt. So both of these guys are coming in with new perspectives, and they both have answers to each other's answers. And I'm only hoping Frankie Edgar's watching because this is going to be fucking insane. This is going to be so much fun. The leg kicks did win the fight for Volkanovski when you go back and look at it as far as significant strikes landed.
Agreed.
But Max Holloway, watching it again, was like, well, those leg kicks landed, but they didn't do anything. They didn't hurt me and affect me, and
didn't.
It's like
in a way. But if you would have watched those leg kicks land on a million other fighters, we might have seen the fight stop. But Max he ate them all, and in a way, it's like does damage matter, or are we just going to point fight? Is that the new way of UFC, is that we're in a point fighting system?
I think it's always been a point fighting system.
I don't know. I think damage should matter somewhere.
I would agree, but they don't, even in the new rules, they really...
Because you know how it's funny? They don't give you credit for a takedown unless you have control while you're there. And then they don't give you enough credit for a takedown unless you do damage while you're there in control. But it's funny that you could do a leg kick that somebody is like, I don't even feel, or maybe I toughen my shins a whole bunch that doesn't even bother me, and they'll give you all the points in the world. I think damage somewhere should matter.
Did you see the leg kick pole that Volkanovski was kicking? It's some pole that he kicks that's on like a rubber bungee thing, and his shin was getting all swollen, and he's like, yeah, I kick that like hundreds of times a day, so I don't feel it. So my prediction as far as the leg kicks, and this is a very interesting pickup that I don't think people are going to be talking about, but Daniel Hooker, Adesanya not so much, but Hooker is recently did a lot of shin on shin against Poirier. Poirier's like, God dang. A couple of really high-level guys really talked about that as well. And I think that that's going to be Volkanovski, one of his changes to the leg kick game, where it's not going to be the outside kick. It's going to be shin to shin, where Volkanovski's going to take just as much damage, but he has prepared himself to take it, where Max Holloway's going to not be able to stand as well. And it's really going to slow him down, because that's what I feel like affected that first fight. But we saw who do it to Dominic Cruz. Cody Garbrandt. He was like, no, our game plan the whole first round was kick the living daylights out of the legs. Because what do you do against the movement guy? You stop his base. You kick his legs out. Volkanovski did it once, and he's going to have to adjust. And I think that's going to be a shin-to-shin kick specifically, and I think he's going to eke out. I believe he won 4 of those 5 rounds last fight. I think he's going to get 3 out of the 5 this time. It's going to be closer. Max Holloway's going to adjust. He'll be back. He's only 28 years old, but he needs to go a couple spots further back than just immediate title rematch. So I'm ultra excited. I see this being super close. Give me 3-2 Volkanovski decision. I think if there's a stackable headlining bout, this is the stack, because I see this being a decision and high output for both guys as much as it was in the first one.
Dare I say, could you stack 2? Since they're both 5-round fights?
I think
you know what? All my cards that finished last week had Dan Hooker and Poirier on them.
Yeah.
Every single one of my cards were all the stacks. So, yeah, go on.
When it's high output fighters like these guys have both proven to be, it's just point city. It's just point. It's an extra 10 minutes for both guys to keep accumulating them. So I totally think that at the levels they are, it's totally worth it.
You know, I've gone back and forth on this, and both teams have just as much opportunity. Like, Max Holloway has almost given us everything that we wanted to see, except for he didn't know those leg kicks were going to be counted against him so much. Like, I really watched him. I rewatched him again on his post-fight presser as well. And he was stunned that he lost the fight. He was like, I don't understand. Like, I laid so many more punches on him. And if you take out the leg kicks, he really did everywhere. Where I understand what you're saying with the 4-1, because you and I always talk about how devastating those leg kicks are. But if you're some kind of madman that, whatever, maybe you feel it, but it's not game-ending to you. Could you readjust? We know Max is also one of the guys that has learned his whole game plan from UFC, the video game. So working in, I've seen some people say that Max looks sad in the embeddeds.
Interesting. How do you like his hair?
His body looked like he made it through that adult level to me. Like, he finally looks like he isn't Kid Max. When he was in that Poirier fight, I didn't like the way his body looked at that next level up. Everyone that said he should have gone up in weight. I didn't like the way he looked there. I thought he looked flabby. I didn't think he looked cut at all. He looked different to me. One thing I didn't like is I never like to see the way you don't like your fighters doing anything but fighting. I don't like to see my fighters eating fucking sweets during weight cuts. And so when it was an obsession of him to get the chicken donut thing, that's like an easy, just from a chubby girl standpoint, that is a day of calories minimum in that chicken biscuit, minimum. And for a fighter, for Max, he probably eats that in like at least, a half a day's workout. So it's probably nothing. But when you're weight cutting, it's something. And we've all seen Max have issues with these weight cuts before. So I don't like that shit. I don't like, even though he has less travel than a lot of other Americans, I don't like that shit. I do think Max has the headspace and the ring IQ to overcome the leg kicks if he knows, this is pointed like that. I think he's the faster fighter. I think he's the longer fighter. I think the Australian Kiwi reign is going to lose steam a little bit. I think that Dan Hooker loss to Poirier is his peak. I think Alexander Volkanovski did not want this fight with Max. He wanted something else. He felt like, we rewatched this, we didn't want this fight.
I thought Volkanovski keeps saying, like, he knew it was going to be Max right away, and he's like, this time I got to knock him out. This time I got to knock him out.
Well, him and his team, they tried to get Max right away, and him and his team did not want that fight. So I there's something about it to me that he's like questioning, can I do this again? Can I overcome this again? Do I want to fight Max again? Also with the Max Holloway thing, we saw him like, he stepped in early for the Khabib Tony thing. He had the Edgar thing. The Edgar fight thing fell out. The Dustin thing at 155. I just felt like we saw too much of Max. This is the very first time we've got to see Max like step away for a minute, reassess after a loss, and come back with this new game plan. I felt like Max was like the dude, he wanted to be everywhere. He wanted to be in every fight. He was going to step in at 165, 170. I don't care. I'll fight. That's the kind of fighter I am. This new phase, though, that we're seeing, like, that's awesome that you want to try every flavor. But I think it's good that Max stepped away. I think it's good that Max hasn't been in heavy sparring. Go on.
We were talking about it earlier on the night, and we were talking about people missing weight and the potential. There had been false rumors going around that Max Holloway's having trouble cutting weight, but out of the fighters, Max Holloway is one of the guys who has missed weight under other weird circumstances in fights and had been pulled from fight cards for not being able to make the weight or passing out. So he, out of most of the fighters, I think has the potential to have a weight issue.
Or everyone being like, Max isn't himself. Like Mike Bisping doing an interview with him and being like, you need to go check him.
Remember there, he's like, I had CTE for a week, and he's like, I think I do. I don't know. And then they're like, all right, pull up.
Yeah, like, so I've gone back and forth on this. Right now when I look down, I see Volkanovski decision written on my thing, because I agree with you. As much as I'm a Max lover and I wanted to be like, the leg kicks didn't affect him, it doesn't matter. They're a strike landed. If I'm pointing the fight, I give him 4 out of the 1 rounds as well, even though some of them were so close, and I hated to say it because Max is in the like easy top 5 of my favorite fighters. This time around, I hope Max and his camp change things. I do think it'll be a closer fight, but I got to think whatever Max is coming in adjusted to, Alexander's trying to add new things to that fight. I have a Alexander Volkanovski decision right now. I could see myself changing to Max. Body is important to me. I hate to keep bringing this up, but the same way I want to see Paige Van Zandt stand across from Amanda Hubis, I want to see Max Holloway stand across from Alexander, and I have to see if he's taken on his grown man body yet, because what I've seen of Max, even in the hard weight cutting, he just doesn't seem bodied up. The same way we saw Jorge Masvidal walk away from UFC and then come back as a real 170-pounder, not just a 155er that doesn't want to cut the massive amount of weight anymore. We've seen Jorge Masvidal make this change. That's what I want to see from Max Holloway. I want to see this like level up on his strength somewhere. I don't know if Hawaiian guys get that kind of body. So I might be... But I didn't think Jorge Masvidal was going to get bodied up like that. And look at him now.
Definitely grown into it much, much more. So here on DraftKings, the minus 235 favorite, Alexander the Great Volkanovski, 9,100 against Max Holloway, 7,100 plus 185 underdog. I do think the line's off here as well. It's a little too much steam on Volkanovski. I mean, it was only a decision he won last time, guys. Don't get it twisted and think that it was an absolute runaway, even though if we count the strikes, it was more. But it's going to be a closer fight.
And just remember, too, I like what you said about you see this going from 4-1 to 3-2. I just have to – I am playing a little bit of Angel's advocate with myself. With Max Holloway, we saw him go in the first fight against Jose Aldo, and then the dismantling of the second fight of Jose Aldo, where you got to give him credit that he's a downloadable guy, too. He's taking stuff in.
Sure.
So if he can make Alexander Volkanovski answer to those leg kicks very quickly in the first to second round, I think we could see a change of those fights. And I can even see how a judge completely forgets about a right low calf leg kick if I'm answering it with an overhand right every time. Like, they forget. It's like 1 for 1, but what one means more, my overhand right. So I felt like Max hung back a little bit. Gosh, fuck. I might want to change to Max Holloway. How can he not be my number one underdog if he's an underdog?
Close.
Max Holloway as an underdog?
Big underdog, almost a 2-1. It's crazy.
That's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. So I do think the line's off here. Volkanovski's a little overpriced for this close of a fight for me personally to be able to lay that much juice on him. As far as DraftKings, I'm going to have to – I could stack, but the play is Max Holloway much more.
What about if Neil the security is really just alpha trying to convince me to change all my picks?
I think there's a guy, Jeff, the IT guy, that you got to watch out for, too.
Jeff, the IT guy. That's perfect.
So.
I know. I have Volkanovski decision. I'm actually changing to Holloway decision right now. Ugh.
That one's not a bad one either. That's not bad at all. Those are much, much easier fights.
Easy. I don't care. What are you going to talk shit to me because I thought Max Holloway was going to win a fight as an underdog? Who is Alexander Volkanovski to be 2-1 favorite over Max Holloway right now?
Exactly. The line's off. I do have Volkanovski winning it, but again,
I'm going to tell you.
Much.
I know, even though I'm saying you have to wear a washcloth, you're going to be like, I'm going to rub my balls on it. My picks matter right now.
Whatever. It's all you. I'm good. I'm taking that third place. So that's what I'm doing.
Well, I'm just saying.
I'm on the podium. I'm on the podium. That's all I'm worried about.
Off air, if you write to me and you're like, bitch, do not go with Max Holloway, I'll be like...
I don't know what that does. Did you just re-cancel out it because we did it off?
No, I'm going with Holloway decision.
Do you?
It's all championship rounds.
You got here for a reason, so just do you. Then we move on to the main event, 170 pounds. The short notice replacement on 6 days. We got Jorge Masvidal coming in against Kamaru Usman. The ups and downs, the lefts and rights, the upside downs, the midnight showers. Unbelievable. Gilbert Burns was going to have his handful. They switched camps. I saw Kamaru Usman training at Team Elevation and was like, oh shit, I'm switching back to Usman. He's training with Gaethje. I'm shitting my pants. All of a sudden, Gilbert Burns gets COVID and Masvidal comes in and is like, oh, I haven't been training at all. I've been, I've been working out a little bit. I've been running to the beach. I've been having pizza. He's like, I'm not doing whatever.
Coffee.
Yeah, he's just like, whatever. And then all of a sudden, last night, Poirier does an interview and saying like, oh, Jorge Masvidal, he's my lead training partner for the Hooker fight. He got me in shape for 5 rounds. He flew in a bunch of wrestlers, and he's actually been in shape with me the whole time. He didn't stop. He just kept training with those guys as soon as I went off to my fight. And Jorge was like, motherfucker. He sent a fucking DM and was like, Poirier, come on, man. Don't Poirier. I'm trying to make some money, bye. I'm betting on myself. You know, Street Jesus has always got the books rigged. He's always trying to get a leg up in there. He's been training with wrestlers. He's been getting some high level wrestlers, D1 guys in there. Poirier was saying, I can't think of their names. I'm sure when I talk about it, they're nationally ranked. But Masvidal has not just been running the beaches. He has absolutely been in a training camp. He had said he had foreshadowed. He thought something weird would happen in this climate, which we've seen nonstop. Like he's just picking up the ether, being like, hey, main events are falling out all the time. Let me stay ready and be ready to get an upset going up in this motherfucker. So that runs in my head, and all of a sudden, like, Usman is all of a sudden taking this fight thinking it's going to be someone who isn't ready, who's a big name, and all of a sudden he's in a real dogfight. Not that Usman took any time off, because he was informed 7 days ago that the fight was off. Daniel Cormier talked about it, saying Friday, before they leaked it to Burns, Usman saying he already had the fight with Masvidal. Officially that getting all out, but Usman never stopped training camp. He never went and gained any weight. He was just like, okay, I got to change my style from Burns, who is a much more dangerous ground fighter than Jorge Masvidal. Not that Masvidal isn't, because some of the best darts out there, Jorge Masvidal, one of the guys we've been running with the most, Jorge Masvidal. But it's definitely a different level on the ground, where Jorge is really turned into a great anti-wrestler to keep it striking, where he's a great boxer, great kickboxer, has one of the best body kicks in the game, and he really uses those body kicks to start to set up a lot of other stuff sneakily. And Usman and a lot of these guys, we like to talk about it, their bodies maybe aren't as, hard as we always like to think they are. So we haven't seen people get to the body on Usman yet, but Masvidal is the type of fighter to be able to do that consistently and really change the dynamic of this fight. In that, Kamaru Usman's setups to his takedowns aren't one note. It isn't like I was talking about earlier, where he shoots in, grabs, and power doubles. No, he's double jabbing into an ankle or a knee pick. He's double jabbing into a tilt shift, into a trip, and then pushing back in chain wrestling. Jorge Masvidal has been working on that with Colby Covington, even though they're in the outs.
I have to ask you,
yes,
I'm a conspiracy theorist.
Of course.
I think the whole thing between Jorge and Colby has been a work from the beginning. I think that the same way as he didn't want everyone to know he was getting Dustin ready for a fight, he doesn't want everyone to know that Colby has been getting him ready for Usman since before Usman took the fight with Colby. I think they've both been getting ready for Usman. I think they've been training everything for Usman. I think everything we saw of Colby striking out there was actually Masvidal training Colby to be on the feet. Whereas I think that same regard, as I thought Colby looked good out there. That was his best striking match that we've ever seen Colby in. I think Colby's been training Masvidal how to be on the ground and had a good takedown defense, just trying to take him down every way he can. I don't think Masvidal at this point would take this fight unready. All this, I'm not trying to interrupt your thing.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
The only thing I don't like, this was the different Masvidal when we look back at the Masvidal that went against Maia and how easy it was for Maia to continue to smother Masvidal on the ground.
Thank you.
Usman, 10 times better than Maia. One with the takedowns, but one with the being the wet blanket on the ground. So I know it was a different Masvidal, but we never got to see Masvidal on the ground with Ben. We never got to.
Exactly. And Diaz isn't going to shoot a takedown. So
we didn't see that one time except desperation and like the fourth.
That's exactly what I was telling Evil Twin, because Evil Twin's trying to take me over to the dark side. Why he has the moniker Evil Twin? He was saying like Masvidal, and I agree. Masvidal does have a shot. He has the power. He has the cardio. He has the ground game to be able to stifle Usman and even stop some takedowns to an extent. But when Damian Maia shoots 12 takedowns and still gets 4, but you're not able to get up at all, I don't see you getting submitted by Usman, but I also see you don't getting up. I see you being just laid on like a wet blanket, and that's one of my biggest issues.
One of the differences that I'll say is Usman doesn't really go for the takedowns that we know Maya might have you in certain dangers. Like, you got to keep your neck under guard the whole time. You can't let your appendages go at all with Maya. You don't really have to worry about that with as much with Usman. With Usman, it's more that he's going to smother you and ground and pound to elbows, ground and pound to try to stand up and strike while he's on top of you. That is where where styles do make fights. I think Masvidal's more equipped to handle Usman's style of ground and pound more than he is worried about the submission attempt of Maya.
Mm-hmm.
And Maya is a 185er that always, every time he makes 170, we're like, God damn! Like Paige Van Zandt. I'm just fighting Amanda Ribas at 115. But no, I will. It's like I've gone back and forth on this. I also think with the Usman, I don't think he has that same predictable trigger that Masvidal knew with Askren that would be there.
Absolutely.
Do you think Masvidal's been training with Colby Covington in secret this whole time?
No, I do think they had a real falling out just because, I don't know, I think there's been some personal things that they're like, okay.
Aren't they both hardcore Trumpers?
Yes.
I just don't. I'm going to be real with you. They, at the point of being hardcore Trumpers nowadays in the climate that we're in, if they held that in common still, I'm guaranteeing you they're still friends. Because probably most of their family doesn't, like Masvidal, they probably listen to his Trump rhetoric a little more because they're like, oh, handout, give me something, Masvidal, you're like street Jesus, giving everyone walking around in your Versace robe, doing it. They're like, all right, tell me about fucking Trump today. Whereas Colby, they've seen the shtick coming forever. But I actually think for Masvidal, his people are probably like more likely to listen than Colby's people being from the Pacific Northwest. Like, he's probably lost so many friends. Like Colby.
Yes, he's burned a lot of bridges.
Especially from the Pacific Northwest. So if they could stay friends through that, all I'm saying is that is another that I'd put into column B, Your Honor, of that I think they're training together this whole time. I want Masvidal to win this fight so bad.
I want Masvidal to win this as well. I'm totally in that with you. It's the perfect underdog story. It's going to be fun. He's not out of it. It's not a one-sided fight. Masvidal is good enough of a striker and can defend enough takedowns that he'll be able to at least to have exchanges. It's just if the wrestling gets going, it's not going to get slowed down. It's just going to keep on snowballing, and it's just going to turn into a maybe 4-1 rounds, maybe a little bit less. Masvidal, like anyone, always has a puncher's chance, but here the decided favorite, Kamaru Usman, is going to be minus 280, 8,900 against Jorge Masvidal, 7,300 plus 220 underdog. The 6 days notice we should give a lot more credence to, but as we've deciphered this, he's been ready the whole time. Kamaru Usman's been ready the whole time. I think for short notice replacements, this is probably one of the most ready guys we've seen as of late. Like he was
waiting. He knew he was going to be the short notice replacement.
Exactly. So he was doing it smart. He was being a veteran and understanding, like, it was between me and Burns. Let somebody fall out. Either fight Burns or Usman for an interim belt. It's a win-win situation for Jorge Masvidal. If he loses, he says, I came in 6 days notice and still looks like a badass. He's in a win-win. Jorge Masvidal does not lose in this situation.
Well, he's not putting his belt on the line.
Because he wants to do it back with Diaz again, which is, of course, who doesn't want to fight Diaz when you're that level?
Well, no, he's just like, is Kamaru Usman a BMF? I don't think he is. I think BMF is where fight entertainment, it's where fighting meets entertainment. Like, to be the BMF, you have to be a bad motherfucker. And I love Kamaru Usman, and I can't imagine anyone else beating him at the 170. But he's not a bad motherfucker. His fight style isn't bad motherfucker yet. That Colby fight, that was a BMF fight, standing like that. And not that I have any issue with the ground, because we know if it gets into a wrestling gig with Kamaru Usman and most people, BMF. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, fight fans don't see wrestling as a BMF style, and he chose not to use that fight style against Colby Covington. And to the disappointment still, I want to see that fight played back, because I still want to see them wrestle each other.
Absolutely.
And I think win or lose, either guy has a fight with Gilbert Burns or Colby Covington.
Easy.
This is fine.
Back to a little more of the actual skill level in there. The fight IQ for Kamaru Usman is also something that isn't always highlighted, but it's very high level. It's why it's always worked for him, is because he's always been able to understand when to strike and take down and how to keep those flows going nonstop. He didn't even shoot a takedown on Colby because he was like, no, I can beat him striking. If he makes that mistake with Masvidal, it's gonna be a different game plan, and that's why Masvidal super live here. I can put Masvidal on 10%. I can put Usman on 20%. I don't think. Is this a stack? This is a 5-rounder.
I don't think this is. This is a really weird fight. It's either Kamaru Usman's the wet blanket, and we actually get to hear Jorge Masvidal every leather landed on his flesh from the corner, because there's no audience in this 25-foot arena, that Kamaru Usman says, or it's exactly like Jorge's planned on, and everybody has a trigger, and once they're confronted with whatever they go back to under panic is, if they do that against Jorge Masvidal, they're going to get caught. And you can't panic while you're in the octagon with Jorge Masvidal, and he's never going to panic. No matter what, he's never going to panic. Best striker,
Absolutely.
So I think he's durable enough to go all the way. It's just, if he makes it 5 rounds, he's going to get smothered the entire time.
Yeah, I think that's why I'm going 20% Usman, 10% Masvidal, just because of that flash knockout potential, that one strike game-changing potential.
If it was anyone other than Usman, we've never seen his chin. Have we seen Usman wobbled? Have we even seen him hurt?
I feel like Warlley Alves wobbled him with one strike, but as soon as he was wobbled, single leg takedown.
Yeah, it's exactly. Like his instincts are that of protection on him.
Exactly. So that's where it's like GSP valuable. Just like, okay, I'm going to stop this guy from punching me, and he's so athletic and quick that he is able to get there. So
you're trusting us, man, once again.
Trusting us, man. But I do feel like the line's off in this one as well. I think it's too much of a favorite for Usman. I think people are playing into the short notice replacement a little more, which brings up the line more. So if you're liking Masvidal, make a play on it. It's not out there. It's not too crazy, but I would be much more comfortable with like a minus 160 Usman, plus 135, 120 for Masvidal. But this 3-1 odds, there's no value in Usman as well.
So 3-1 odds. What odds are better? Kamaru Usman versus Masvidal, or Paige Van Zandt versus Amanda Yubas? Still. I can't convince anyone. I feel like I went to college to try to get a degree to try to convince somebody of Paige Van Zandt versus Amanda Yubas. Somebody should clip me of this and do something and put Paige Van Zandt behind it, like doing all her slaying shots.
Her one head kick against freaking Beck Rawley.
I don't like the submission.
That's it. That's it. Breaking her biggest highlight. So, man, 13 card bout, hell of a pay-per-view. We're going to have a ton down the pipeline. Yeah, Silent's going to be full for a little while. Quarantine's going to be ahead. I mean, we're going to be getting other shows down in the pipes. Keep it listed everywhere. Keep following everywhere, because there's a lot more coming.
Make sure you're liking and subscribing. If you like the live shows, make sure you tune into YouTube while we're not unlisted for saying things like pasta fin. Just kidding.
Demonetized.
That's it. Or off YouTube. But you can find us there for our live shows. Hopefully, in the next, before the next fight card, in the next 3 days, I'm going to make it over and we're going to figure out also how to stream it to Zoltanite's Twitch station live, which I think is a really awesome way to communicate. If you guys haven't downloaded the Twitch or the Discord yet, you can do it there. And we talked a lot of shit about the Fight Pick Championship, but I'm just going to give a shout out to everybody that's still in it. So yeah, make sure that you're going over to Twitch and you're checking out MMA Mark's buddy stream. You can go over and check out Ricky_Jiu-Jitsu, and that's also MMA Marks, and they usually do their show live from there. You can go to the Backlog Network, which if you're new to Twitch or new to streaming at all, I don't want to put any extra work on him, but you should definitely join the network, and there's a lot of friendly people on there that will help you out how to get started on Twitch. Grant be back. His show's always fun, and he always has different games that he's going with. Obviously, Lat B, you and I, we're going to be new to Twitch. You are gaming more regularly than I am. And you know that you can follow us everywhere else. And I know I'm always forgetting somebody. There's always somebody that's quiet.
Juice.
It's because he's not twitching right now. But everyone's told him he should twitch. And I definitely think there's a market out there for like Juice's type of entertainment. And I definitely think non-mocking. There's Buddy was telling me there's like a karaoke Twitch.
Huh.
Right? If him and his wife are doing the karaoke Twitch, what are they doing? What are they doing? So and they just both seem kind of, I mean it in all the highest respect, because from a drama nerd, they both seem drama nerdy, and that is kind of the entertaining thing about some of the Twitch channels. So I think that's everyone in the thing that's still left hanging, that's still left in the Fight Pick Championship. So I know, and look at how shitty my picks have been. I've changed them every time beforehand. That PVZ pick, I'm not kidding. If I see her standing next to Hebus and she's like me and my wife facing off, and it's I'm going with PVZ. Wouldn't it suck if PVZ was the one that cost me the Fight Pick Championship?
You're brave.
The easy hot 25 of just picking Hebus' decision.
So strong and so brave.
All right, but the Fight Pick Championships have been fun.
Yeah.
There's going to be seasons. If you're somebody that's listening and you want to be involved in the Fight Pick Championships, I definitely encourage you to follow us on our Twitter or somewhere, because we will be throwing out information, and it is just going to be getting bigger, and everybody's going to have an opportunity to get involved. They're going to have seasons of it. The lowest players will fall out as the seasons go on. Maybe. I don't want to say what they're going to be doing, but I definitely know it's going to be getting bigger, and they're going to open it up to more people. So, do you have anything to drop?
Nothing else. I think we got it.
All right, you guys. Thanks for listening. Hit the bell. Yeah, that's it.
Let me.